Coming up in Centre Circle, he has seen it close up. Now Big Mac talks about the things affecting Caribbean football. Building for the future, VMBS and the St. James FA taking care of the youths. And help for Kingston Technical ahead of the football season. Having served for 4.5 years as FIFA Development Officer, Howard McIntosh was the first Jamaican to be employed by FIFA. But his stint as a regional officer ended at the end of 2016.
It terminated with a decision by the FIFA to establish an office for the entire Caribbean in Barbados. And so that would have meant movements and other things. So that wasn't something that I was about considering for now. It was an excellent time. I really enjoyed it, and it gave me an excellent opportunity to learn more about football in the region, and of course contribute, I hope, to the development and furtherance of the game in the region. It was a very trying time because the time I came in, it was right after President Warner had run into some difficulties, and then during the time I was there, you had the situation with President Webb. So one of the things it definitely taught me is an appreciation for governance and proper governance, and so and that will prove to be some long-lasting lessons for me in life. And my particular focus was to try and encourage the individual territories to ensure that they put in place the proper governance, to ensure that they had a head office, and to ensure that they had a technical center. In other words, you wanted to put in place the basic infrastructure that allowed them to operate and successfully operate in terms of moving their football forward. And the truth of the matter is that on the development side, the region has not received the level of attention that it truly should have gotten over the years. CONCACAF didn't even have a technical department, you know, and so in particular areas like coaching education and technical development, the CONCACAF as a confederation, and definitely the Caribbean region, fell way short in terms of its own development.
Infrastructure is another problem in the region.
The infrastructure in the Caribbean is poor. Infrastructure, just like the infrastructure in Jamaica, is poor, and I believe it is one of the reasons why the football is not developing at the rate it needs to develop, because the playing surfaces are not at all contributing to the proper development of the game. We need more futsal courts, we need more small artificial pitch turfs. Each country should have an artificial pitch, because international tournaments now are being played on artificial pitches. I know that the JFF has a technical center now, which is a move in the right direction. It's going a lot slower than everybody would like, because the dormitories aren't even completed yet. But it is a step in the right direction. What we need to do now is complete it as quickly as possible and get an artificial pitch, either there or somewhere else, so we start to now better reflect what we need to have. And then we need the call I've made before, and I will continue to make, and I know the same call has been made by the JFF and the JFF leadership, that we really need 3 stadia. Happy to see that the Minister of Sport has indicated that we'll be getting 3 stadia. And we're talking about 3 stadia like Catherine Howard. But when I talk about infrastructure, I don't only mean the physical side of it. I look at coaching development and coaching education as a natural part of the football infrastructure. Jamaica has made significant advances there, but it's being slowed up by CONCACAF. Because CONCACAF has the responsibility, at the confederation level, has the responsibility for developing the coaching education and the coaching licensing program. And to date, CONCACAF has not necessarily delivered. I've always said that qualification for the World Cup in 1998 was arguably the best and worst thing that happened for Jamaica. Best because it was the best time of all of our lives. Maybe it will forever be the best time ever experienced as a country, as a footballing country, as a footballing nation. Worst from the standpoint of having achieved that at a time when we didn't have the infrastructure, we didn't have the coaching, and which achieved in spite of everything else. It set the expectations so high that sometimes you have to ask if they were unrealistic.
But in light of CONCACAF pushing for one CONCACAF, the CFU is being divided.
That type of situation needs to be resolved. I know that there are a number of issues in relation to, the CFU presidency and the CFU president. I know there are a number of issues now, and I consider them all unfortunate because this is a time in football and in the Caribbean where you really want unity. You'd really want everybody coming together to try and get as much as we can. As I've said before, I really think that we're missing an opportunity even with the increase in the number of World Cup spots. In the new structure, as it is proposed, because as you know, it hasn't been finally approved yet, Oceania will get a spot. And I mean, Jamaica can compete with most of the countries in Oceania. But my hope was that the Caribbean would advocate to try and get one spot, at least one spot, to ensure that, we would always have something to strive towards. Now, are we happy that the number of spots in CONCACAF is likely to increase from 3.5 to 6? Yes. But we'd be more happy if the Caribbean was guaranteed one spot. I don't hear anybody, kind of looking for or lobbying for the possibility of the Caribbean. I don't hear it out loud. I don't know what is the reason for it. But I think strongly that if we don't do it at this time, I don't know when it is going to be the time in our lifetime.
And not even the recent CONCACAF election where Canadian Victor Montagliani beat Bermudan Larry Musenden was a surprise, even though CFU controls 31 of the 41 votes.
Surprise, no. Surprise, no. I wasn't surprised. Just, politics.
McIntosh is also the former chairman of the JFF Technical Committee. During his time, he oversaw the selection of coaches and players to the senior team.
One of the things that was put into the selection criteria is that 2 youngsters must be in every squad. Every national senior team squad that was selected, you must have 2 youngsters under the age of 20. The English philosophy of developing their national team has not worked. It hasn't worked. So you can't go to somewhere where it hasn't worked to try and do something that you need to do here. So you need to develop your players here. And that is why one of the things that I know must happen here is the proper implementation of an elite, what you call an elite program, national elite program, that deals with the national development of the game from the under 13, under 15, under 17, and under 20, focusing on the youth, where you have them in constant training throughout the year.
But is it the president of the federation or the coaches with whom the blame lies?
At the end of the day, everything comes back to the leader. So I don't know what specific situation you're referring to, but at the end of the day, so if it is in Jamaica, everything must come back to the president and the leadership of the JFF.
And what about overseas-based coaches at the senior level?
Don't think any country has won the World Cup that does not have a coach from its own country. That should tell you a lot of things.
He is also making a plea for more to be done for local administrators.
one of the issues that we're going to have to address as we look to professionalize and develop and organize the sport of football is the question of payment to administrators. The administrators of the game are the only people that are not paid. If you go in these parishes and you see some of the hard-working volunteers who every week they go and get the water for the boys and the girls, and they work hard and they're volunteers. These administrators of the sport will need to be compensated, and in any new structure that must happen.
Still to come, VMBS and the St. James FA, a match made for the youth. And Kingston Technical gets a boost from the Big Apple.